All right, everyone, impeachment continuing again, the main news of the day at the moment, at least for a week or two. It's unclear still at this point exactly what's going to happen in the Senate trial. We know what the outcome will be. The outcome will be a vote to acquit Donald Trump. That part's not up in the air. What's up in the air is how long it takes and what the procedures are in the meantime. The problem is, for the Democrats, they've got several senators that get completely bogged down actively campaigning during the impeachment proceedings. Two of them are in the top of the field. Those are Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. They're respectively, at any given time, in second and third place. Bernie Sanders has been ahead in some polling now in a couple of states. Warren was in Iowa for a while. She slipped back down. She's no longer necessarily viable, even. After the first four states, if she hasn't at least come in second in one of the first four states she's done, she might as well drop out along with the rest of the field. By the way, that's a little bit of advice. The Democrats should try to force a situation where only the top two candidates are in through Super Tuesday. Everyone else loses the blessing of the party. They can stay in name, but they won't be able to be truly registered. That way, we can let's force the Democrats to have it out. Are you going to be a liberal party, or are you going to move to socialism? That's basically what I would like to see. Fucking make your decision. Stop being schismatic freaks. As far as impeachment goes, though, it really makes it difficult to predict what's going to happen in Iowa. In Iowa, you've got, it appears, Bernie Sanders on the upswing. The last poll showed him up. Now, this is just one poll, so this is just sort of an educated guess. There was another poll just a week before showing Biden on top by a couple of points. Not long ago, Warren was on top. It would be nice to see a scattered bunch of polls right before the voting happens, which is in a couple of weeks. It would be nice to see maybe 3 or 4 polling firms come forth and give their best guess there and in New Hampshire. We may or may not get that number. At that point, we'll be able to make our tentative predictions. Right now, I still give Biden a slight edge, but it's slight and it's not definite because I don't have enough polling to go on because I haven't conducted enough polls. If Bernie Sanders, however, is kept off the campaign trail, that could be a problem for him because making those last-minute appearances, if you make an appearance the day before voting, it's more fresh in people's mind. Perhaps that affects turnout. Bernie Sanders shows up to a rally of 12,000 Iowans the day before election. It gives him that little tiny edge that could just put him over if it's close. It gets televised. More people will watch it live streaming, certainly, than in person. Sanders, by the way, is the only person other than Donald Trump that can accomplish this. Everybody else, if they make an appearance, it tends to be in the 4-figure range, and that's on a good day. Sometimes it's smaller. You look at Elizabeth Warren's crowd size, it's been shrinking. Klobuchar's has been growing, but she struggles to hit 1,000 people. Sanders sells out auditoriums, and Trump sells out entire stadiums. Katie, please don't do that. Come on. I know. I know that the subject becomes boring after a while because the Democrats never should have even done that, but, you got to talk about it. Anyway, here's what I would say. Now the cat's disgusted with me. Well, okay, next time I'll just let you eat the plant and get sick. See, then you get to see the cat vomiting on the video. I'm sure that would be a popular one. Jesus Christ. Impeachment, I don't think, goes well for the Democrats. The problem is this. Now that it's in the Senate, it becomes even more of a farce. The Republicans, of course, can we admit something? Some people are they're like Orange Man Good and they won't admit to this. The Senate proceedings will be partisan. Yes, Mitch McConnell and the other Republicans don't want Trump to be removed from office. No shit. Now, there's no legitimacy to the charge against him. I agree with that. That being said, the proceedings themselves, technically speaking, the House shouldn't have impeached him because their proceedings should have been unbiased. Well, of course, they were biased. It was a partisan floor show. The final vote was partisan. We know this. Once it gets sent to the Senate, the hope is that part of government has more decorum and is less likely to be so. The problem is, even if you did have, let's say that McConnell says, because the charges are so weak, I'm literally just going to let the Democrats have their fair shot here. I'm going to let them bring forth their witnesses and do the testimony thing. I'm going to let them do the same thing. At the end of the day, it'll still be a partisan vote. That'll be the outcome. Because even if McConnell were to step aside and say, I'm not going to make the process partisan or unfair, others in the Senate would. The Democrats will automatically vote for impeachment. They'll hold rank for political reasons. The Republicans will vote against. They'll hold rank for political reasons. And that's going to be the story of the day. It's just a matter of how long it takes. And again, McConnell would be wise to look for ways to stretch it out long enough through Iowa and New Hampshire to screw Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, to raise the temperature, to raise the social alienation of the upswinging youth left in the Democratic Party. Because they'll take the blame unless they come out and ask him deliberately to end the proceedings and allow a final vote. That in turn will piss off the neoliberals. They won't want that. But the Pelosi types do want it to be a more elaborate, lengthy trial. There are some people on the left, I'm sure, that just want to put it away. Look, the problem is Bernie Sanders fans, by and large, and speaking with them, appear to understand that impeachment is a losing proposition. And what they're afraid of is that it gets stretched on, takes Sanders off the campaign trail for several weeks, a month, or whatever, and prevents who they see as the only viable candidate from being nominated because he can't campaign. Well, wouldn't that be a big fuck you to all the Bernie Sanders fans? Dude, when you got 15-20% of the Democrats have congealed behind Bernie Sanders and you're screwing him, that's not a good thing to do. It'd be worse than 2016. Because again, Trump is antagonizing them. You look at his Twitter posts. Look at Trump's Twitter, if you haven't, if you're living under a rock because you don't like the greatest form of entertainment in this particular decade. Look at his Twitter and see what he's doing. He's constantly egging on the Bernie Sanders thing. Oh, they're screwing Bernie again. This is reverse psychology here. It is true that the Democrats are screwing him. Really, though, they're trying to screw Trump, but they're getting screwed themselves. Just by having the impeachment thing on the table during the election was always a bad idea. Pelosi and the other neoliberals, you have to understand, are trying to save face. It isn't them trying to screw Bernie directly. The far left's own mismanagement is screwing Bernie. Because Trump looked at the Democratic Party, said, you've got the AOC crowd here. They've got a lot more charismatic popularity. They're a lot more outspoken, and they're a lot more youth inclined. They're more tech literate. They have larger audiences online. They can drown out Pelosi and Schiff and these other boring people easily. I know what I'm going to do. Ha-ha, fucking hold the impeachment vote. Ha-ha, nya. And he got him to actually do it. They took the bait. He forced impeachment as an issue. This is Trump's impeachment. You realize that? No, I mean, this is Trump's impeachment. He's the one that engineered it. He wanted you to impeach him. He's like, oh, it's just so unfair, you impeached me. That's his floor show, dude. That's him acting. He's acting like he's upset to antagonize you. He's Sun Tzuing you at the moment. He's making you think that he's worried about the impeachment proceedings. He's protected by the Republicans in the Senate. He wants you to drag it out as long as possible. Why do you think he argued that it should be cut and dry and they shouldn't even take up the case? He wants you to take up the case. It's screwing the Democrats. The Bernie Sanders and Warren fans before the end will attack the Democratic Party demanding that impeachment end. The Bernie bros will get called Russian assets by the neoliberals because the Hillary Clinton types and the Schiffs have apparently lost their plumb fucking minds, and they'll attack back, and it'll all devolve into a shit show. And somewhere between, this is my tentative prediction, somewhere between 10 and 20% of Democratic voters will not vote in the end, regardless of who's nominated, because of the bad blood over impeachment. Trump has played long game. He's already beaten you. The chances of the Democrats winning in 2020 have steadily slipped because he simply runs strategic rings around the Democratic Party. He doesn't think of the here and now. He's thinking 5 or 6 steps ahead. And they just don't understand it because most of these people, think about it, most of these people, what form of employ are they in? They're dynastic politicians, like Bernie. He's never worked a day in his life in the honest sense. Business people, corporate, billionaires and stuff. And lawyers. That's basically most of Congress. You get a handful of doctors sprinkled in, a handful of people who are in education like academia, but that's relatively small. Mostly it's those 3 professions. It's people who have always been political, people who have been in corporate legalism, or people who have been in corporate. Those are the 3 people that run our country. It shouldn't be. We should probably have people who are more academically inclined, militarily inclined, number 2, and then people who are more activistic, preferably in the libertarian sense. Those should be the people in a meritocratic sense running the government. Instead, we got the dross of society doing so. No offense to any lawyers and corporate CEOs out there, but a lot of your compatriots are corrupt. Let's put it that way. Trump is an actor first and foremost. Now, of course, he's a politician now, although he never held political office before. And he's a businessman. In fact, that's mainly what he's known for. But what his real finesse is being an actor. One of the reasons his corporate endeavors work so well is because he's good at branding. A lot of that is literally putting on a facade, putting on a front. He puts on a front for people, and if there's anything wrong, he allows them to attack illusions. He creates straw men and ghosts and confusion, and he allows people to run themselves in ring and fuck themselves. It's like when he hires Rudy Giuliani as a lawyer. Like that. Like this is... He's uniquely qualified, and it totally wasn't for the optics, dude. Again, here's the other funny part. In closing, it's hilarious to me when people think Rudy Giuliani is demented and that he doesn't come out and say exactly what Trump has told him to say, and that he's in on the joke, and that the whole fucking idea is to antagonize people into thinking that Trump and everyone around him is inept. It's a trick, and it works. It works on foreign leaders too. Worked on Korea. Now there's some semblance of peace in the Korean peninsula because of our actor-in-chief. The South and North Koreans now are trying to build up camaraderie on their own. He literally jump-started potentially peace in the most potential bad region in the world for hostility between two countries that could go nuclear. How very interesting how much he's accomplished, and he gets almost no credit for it. But guess what? He doesn't care if you cast him as the villain or the good guy protagonist. At the end of the day, he doesn't care. He's still in the lead role now, isn't he? He's sort of an anti-hero at this point. That's a pretty good thing to be. People will be writing novels about Trump 100 years from now. It'll be pretty funny. That's about all. Peace out.